everybody, Mrs. Brindley here again with some more Rooftoppers for you, okay? Hope you're staying really safe. Right, chapter 15 we're on now, okay? That night, Sophie said goodnight to Charles early and clambered onto the rooftops the moment the sun had begun to set. She sat against the chimney pot and waited for it to become properly dark. While she waited, she tucked her knees under her chin and tried to muster her options. She was surprised to find that giving up was not one of them. It was odd. She wasn't, as far as she knew, brave. She was afraid of deep water and large crowds and cockroaches. And when she thought of being caught and taken back to England, she felt physically sick with dread. And yet giving up felt as impossible as flying. Her mother felt so much more real here. She could almost smell her. She would smell. Sophie felt sure of roses and resin. She felt just round the corner. Sophie got to her feet. Sophie had not thought she had a plan, but she acted purposefully, as if she had planned it all along. She pulled off her shoes and held them in her teeth. Then she headed north, in the direction of the boy. After 20 minutes, she squatted on her heels and fished the laces from one of her shoes. She tied it around the chimney pot. She wanted him to know that she was not afraid to leave her own rooftop. At each new rooftop, Sophie tied something to the chimney pot. First, her other shoelace, and then her stockings, and 2 hair ribbons, all of which were easy to tie, and then her handkerchief, which was not quite large enough and kept coming undone at the top. At the 8th rooftop, she wound her dressing gown round the chimney. It was grey with much washing, and she was not sorry to part with it. At the 9th rooftop, Sophie came to a halt. She stood on one leg. There was a gap, as long as an ironing board between her rooftop and the next. It's not far, she told herself. She would almost certainly make it, but somehow she couldn't persuade her feet to agree. Sophie hesitated. Then she tugged off her nightdress and threw it on the rooftop. There was 1 second when she thought it was going to drop straight down the chimney. Instead, it landed neatly on the edge and lay there, its arm waving in the breeze as if it was saluting the dark. Then Sophie turned and ran, as swift as she dared, dressing only in her pants, with her shoes in her mouth and her arm out for balance. Back along the slate, back along the tiptoes of the city, over the heads of hundreds of dreaming Frenchmen, and back to bed. Mathieu appeared the next night, carrying her nightdress and stockings. He came at the stroke of midnight, under cover of the chiming clock. Sophie didn't wake up until he was standing 3 inches from her face. "My God," she said, "you startled me." "I know." He dumped the clothes on her bed. "I kept the dressing gown," he said. "I wanted it." He sat on the edge of her bed. "Might as well explain," he said. Sophie said, "Do you swear not to tell anybody?" "No," said the boy. Nobody ever said no. Sophie said, "You don't?" "I never swear anything." "Tell me anyway." Sophie bit her lip. But the boy looked fearless. Fearless people are not usually telltales. If you tell on me," she said, "I'll come after you. Remember, I'm not frightened of rooftops." She told him everything. She started with the Queen Mary and worked through Miss Elliot and Charles and her cello and finished here in Paris amongst the chimney pots. "And the thing is, it feels like I've been here before," she said. "In Paris." "In Paris, and on the rooftops. But it's so difficult," she said. "Charles tries, but he's just one person, and nobody else will help me." "Is that a request?" Sophie looked at the boy. He seemed to be wearing 2 pairs of shorts, one on top of the other. The red pair on top was missing half the left leg, and the blue pair showed through. Together they were just made up of 1 pair of shorts. His jersey was threadbare, but his face, she thought, was not. His face was sharp and clever. She said, "Yes, it is." "Do you have a plan?" "Of course. I'm going to make posters. And there's the lawyers." Mathieu snorted. "They won't help you." "Yes, they will." "Why would you say that?" "You might find one, I suppose, but I don't think anyone will take on the commissioner of police. All the lawyers in Paris are corrupt, and most of the policemen." "How do you know?" Sophie's heart felt suddenly grey. "You can't know that. Someone's got to help. It's wildly important." "I listen to people all day. I live on top of the law courts, so I know." "But you can't hear anything from a rooftop." "I can. Where I live, I can hear half of the city. It's like a wind tunnel. I can hear all the music in Paris, and all the horses, and all the crime." Sophie froze. "You can hear all the music?" "Yes, of course." What music do you hear? All sorts. Women singing mostly, and men with guitars and soldier bands. Do you hear cello music? Do you hear Farouz Requiem? I wouldn't recognise Requiem, said Matteo. What is it? Sounds like a skin infection. I can play it for you. Sophie leapt up to fetch her cello. Then she hesitated. If I play now, people will hear. They might come up and find you. Come outside then. I'll go first and you can pass up your cello? Is the word, yes? Outside she sat on the chimney pot and set her cello between her legs. She knew the requiem, but she had never played it in double time. It won't be perfect, all right, but I think it was something like this. Listen carefully, all right, and tell me if you've ever heard it. Sophie stumbled over the fingering, but she thought it sounded at least something like the magic Monsieur Astur had played. When she had finished, Matteo shrugged. Possibly. Possibly what? Possibly I've heard it. What did you say? Nothing. In fact, she had whispered, never ignore a possible, but she hadn't meant him to hear. He said, I'm not good at music, unless it's birds. You'll have to come and listen yourself. Can I? Really? Really? When? He snorted again. Whenever you like. I don't have a busy diary. Tomorrow. D'accord. I don't speak French, but his face had seemed to say yes. I said, fine, I'll come and fetch you. At midnight, she asked. It began to rain. Matteo ignored it. None. It's not dark enough at midnight. 2:30. Don't fall asleep. And wear something warm. It can be windy up high. Yes, of course. The rain grew heavier. Wait a second. Rain isn't good for the wood. Sophie lowered her cello back into her bedroom. When she turned back, Matteo had vanished. Back inside, Sophie pulled the window shut and huddled into the warm patch in her bed. But she did not fall asleep again until dawn. She lay listening to the rain blowing against the glass. Her heart was dancing double time. Wonder how things will go with her and Matteo tomorrow night. Okay, bye.